So welcome, Elaine, to back to the Zoom room for another session. I'll just do a quick one today. So let's jump straight into today's email with our quotes. Share that with you. Okay, so you can read this headline quote for today. That'd be great. From Rick Warren, who's an American pastor.
Other people are going to find healing in your wounds, your greatest life messages, and your most effective ministry will come out of your deepest hurts.
Quote by Rick Warren is a well-known American pastor. Follows nicely on from yesterday's quote and workbook lesson by showing you how your deepest hurts can be transformed into your highest purpose, which is to heal your own mind and help others do the same. So we've talked about healing yesterday. Always good to, instead of just being theoretical, talk about practical examples as illustrations of these principles. So Anita Mazani, I mentioned her yesterday, but we'll go through her story again briefly. She had advanced so-called terminal cancer that ravaged her body for about 4 years, to the point where her major organs started failing. When that happens, generally death is imminent. So the doctors told her family to say their goodbyes. There was nothing more they could do for her, and she was certainly going to die. She slipped into a coma, and then she experienced what she described as expanded awareness of her surroundings. So she could hear conversations happening elsewhere in the hospital, and she felt this really blissful peace and joy. She also connected with her dead father and her best friend, who passed away a few years earlier, also of cancer. And she talked to them, and she was like, "Well, I'm out of here. I want to just leave." And her father persuaded her to return. She still had, he said, you still have a work to do and a mission to fulfill. So she agreed to that, but she agreed on the condition that her body would heal. So there's no point going back to, a completely sick, cancer-ridden body. So she'd made a decision and a fundamental shift. She said in that time, she also clearly saw why she developed the cancer. It was all her own anxiety. She was very anxious. She had very low self-esteem. And she saw that it was, self-created. So she returned. She came out of her coma after about 30 hours. And having had this, profound NDE, near-death experience, as it's called. And within 4 days of that experience, her tumors had shrunk by about 70%. The doctors couldn't believe it. They'd never seen anything like it. It's like, well, rapid regression of the cancer. And within 5 weeks, she was completely free of cancer, having been on death's door, hours away from death. And she made a full recovery. And they couldn't explain why this happened, because the belief in separations, or the ego's thought system, on which modern allopathic medicine is based, doesn't acknowledge the healing power of a transcendent love that's not of this world. What happened after, we haven't talked about this story, but what happened after her near-death experience and healing is just as miraculous. She felt inspired to share her story with others, just verbally initially, and she submitted a description of her near-death experience and subsequent healing to the Near-Death Experience Research Foundation website. So her story came to the attention of Wayne Dyer, very well-known speaker and author, who contacted his publishers, Hay House, who the biggest publishers of spiritual material in the world, as far as I know. And he asked them to find Anita and suggest that she write a book, which they should then publish. I guess, given he was Wayne Dyer, they took that seriously. And so with encouragement and constructive criticism from Wayne, apparently she wrote the first draft. He said, no, go rewrite. It's not good enough. It doesn't go deep enough. She wrote the book Dying to Be Me, very appropriately titled Health. A story which hit the New York Times bestseller list 2 weeks after its publication in March 2012. So the book's been published now in more than 40 languages, sold over 1 million copies worldwide. She's been interviewed on numerous talk shows in the US. She sold the film rights to producer Ridley Scott's company. And all of this happened to a woman who, by her own admission, had extremely low self-esteem before her cancer and suffered from chronic anxiety before she had the cancer and her near-death transformational experience, which is also said she's very grateful for. She knows was all necessary for healing and to find her higher purpose, which has since been to share her message to help others free themselves from fear and choose love instead. So I don't know if you listened to that 18-minute TED Talk that I sent you, but I've just taken the key lessons. So she talks about her life lessons that came out of experience. Number one of which was focus on love for yourself and others. So love at the foundation. Let go of fear. It's the corollary. It sounds very much like the course, isn't it? Focus on love, let go of fear. I like number 3 as well. Have a sense of humor, laugh. Don't take everything so seriously. Allow yourself to feel joy. Number 4, life, including its challenges, is a gift. So seeing everything correctly, even the challenges are a gift. And number 5, be your authentic self. And that's really the whole purpose of life, to know thyself. It's also worth mentioning that not everyone is open to this message. Many skeptics have criticized it, inevitably. One journalist, for example, wrote the following: "These people," he says, whatever he means, very stigmatizing, are at the center of a disturbing approach to illness, and cancer in particular, that sees it as a disease to be tackled with the mind and positive thinking. It is a movement which many within the medical establishment believe is dangerous. According to this insane logic, it's apparently more dangerous for these, quote, now stigmatized people to heal as she did and live an inspiring life than it is to die as the doctors predict they will. That's really what he's saying. How is whatever she did dangerous? Surely it saved her life, and it's inspired many other people with cancer and other illnesses to heal and to give them hope. And, this is just the kind of negativity that passes for some kind of sense. Clearly, it's a nonsensical argument designed to undermine the validity of an alternative approach to treating cancer that may diminish the super profits the medical industry makes from it. But then, don't expect those who steadfastly believe in and profit from the ego's thought system of sickness and death to support you in your efforts to undo it. It's not going to happen. Instead, expect resistance and criticism, but pay no attention to it, because the Holy Spirit or remembrance of perfect love will help you rise above it and work miracles or make corrections despite this apparent opposition. The shades of, if you've any of the chosen sure experienced, he was going out there and he was really doing good, and he was giving people hope, and he was healing so many people, and yet the Sanhedrin, the Jewish authorities at the time, found him, and the Romans found him very threatening, even though he's doing amazing work, because it's positive. It's positive energy, and negative energy never likes positive energy. It's always going to find a reason to criticize it and try and stop it. And that's just, the way the ego works. So in fact, back to your higher purpose, you have a higher purpose in this world precisely because so many people believe in the limitations of the ego story, and the world needs miracle workers or correction makers like you to shine the awareness of truth into that darkness or limited awareness and liberate them from their fear. Therefore, be glad that you have this mighty function in this world, and that all your suffering, trials, and challenges are exactly what you need to find and fulfill it. And that's really the key. So your challenges are exactly what you need to find and fulfill your higher purpose. And if you can see that, then your challenges start having a transcendent meaning. And if you can't see that, then your challenges are just terrible and awful, and you wonder why it's happening to you, and you become a victim, and life is very unpleasant. So highly recommend watching the talk. She's an inspiring lady, and listen to it for yourself. Which leads us nicely into today's session, which is today's lesson: when I'm healed, I am not healed alone. So given the theme is healing, this is really saying that you have a higher, your healing has this transcendent dimension of a higher purpose. So let's dive straight into that, shall we? Let's go. Okay, so lesson 137, if you can read that in the, oh, there's an original alternative. I just kept it as it is for a change. And then into the first paragraph.
When I am healed, I am not healed alone.
Very simple idea, but very profound. So as he says, if you want to go, just read an alternative, Elaine, almost to translate in this one.
Today's idea remains the central thought on which awakening rests, for healing is the opposite of all the world's ideas, which dwell on sickness and separate states. Sickness is a retreat from others and blocking of joining. It becomes a door that closes on separate self and keeps it isolated and alone.
Right. What's he saying there?
Well, it's today's idea is the central thought of awakening. This is where it rests. So the healing is the opposite of the world's ideas of dwelling on the sickness and separate states. It's a way of blocking yourself from joining with others and isolates you and keeps you alone.
You think of what happens when you're ill, especially if it becomes like a chronic illness. It's very separating. You get separated from other people, particularly if it's contagious, or your condition. It's like, well, I'm the sick one, and so I'm special, and I'm somehow separate and different from other people who are healthy, and it becomes a part of someone's identity. If it carries on for a length of time, the sickness becomes part of their identity. And then it becomes very difficult to get rid of it because they're identifying with it. And the ego tells them, that this is giving you an identity. This is good. Even though there's physical pain and suffering inevitably, they'd rather experience that than go through the pain of undoing their separate identity. So he's just highlighting all of this for us, saying, okay, so let's look again at sickness and therefore what healing is. Once you understand sickness, truly, then you can heal. That's always his approach. Understand it clearly, and then healing becomes obvious. The way to heal becomes obvious. Okay, so number 2, sickness is isolation.
Sickness is isolation, for it seems to keep oneself apart from all the rest, to suffer what the others do not feel. It gives the body final power to make the separation real and keep the mind in solitary prison, split apart and held in pieces by a solid wall of sickened flesh, and it cannot surmount. It's just saying the sickness just keeps us isolated in a solitary prison. Yeah.
And it gives the body this final power to make the separation real. Keep the mind in its solitary prison, split apart, held in pieces by a solid wall, and pretty graphic language again, of sickened flesh that it cannot overcome. And you know, he's doing this for a reason, because he doesn't want us to maintain any illusions related to this, that you know, in any way this is a good thing, or you know that sickness is somehow justified. He's just saying that it's not, and the mind is just using it to perpetuate its self-concept, a separate self-concept. What better way to tell you that you're a body and that you're separate than to make you sick, essentially. Okay, we'll move on to number 3.
The world obeys the laws that sickness serves, but healing operates apart from them. It's impossible that anyone be healed alone. In sickness, everyone must be apart and separate, but healing is their own decision to be one again and to accept their self with all its parts intact and unassailed. In sickness, the self does appear to be dismembered and without the unity that gives it life, but healing is accomplished as they perceive the body as no power to attack the universal oneness of perfect love's extension.
Yeah, what's he saying there?
Well, the world's obeying the laws of sickness, but healing their own self. Well, it's their own decision. So it's, yeah. So in this sickness, the true self doesn't appear to be dismembered. Well, the healing is accomplished as they see the body has no power to attack the universal oneness of perfect love's extension.
Yeah, so as soon as you see beyond the illusion, that you know actually you still are whole in the mind, you know, none of this matters, none of this really affects you. When that revelation dawns on the mind, then healing can happen, and that healing can be immediate. You know, as we saw with an example, like say Anita Mazani, you know, the moment she went into the unity, you know, near-death experience, that was when the healing started. And her body, even though her body was, you know, the medical industry were saying, look, there's nothing we can do. It's too far gone. There's no order of difficulty in miracles. You know, once her mind had healed, it's everything in the body. And suddenly the body starts, doesn't need the cancer anymore. They don't understand it, because they don't understand how the mind interacts with the body on that energetic level. And you know, this kind of miraculous healing is possible. We saw it. Another example would be, you know, Yeshua with his miraculous healings, when people would literally heal instantly. Well, how did that happen? Happened because of a profound change of mind in that moment. Suddenly they dropped all of that guilt and sin and fear, and when they dropped that, the body could heal. And he just facilitated that process, as he said a number of times. You know, I haven't done anything. It's your faith that has made you well. Okay, so happy to go on to number 4. Sickness is my attempt to prove.
That sickness is my attempt to prove that lies must be the truth. But healing demonstrates that only truth is true. The separation sickness wants to impose has never really happened. To be healed is merely to accept what always was the simple truth and always will remain exactly as it has forever been. Yet eyes accustomed to illusions must be shown that what they perceive as false. So healing never needed by the truth must demonstrate that sickness is not real.
Okay.
Yeah, well, just saying about again, sickness is an attempt to prove lies must be the truth.
Mm.
But healing demonstrates that truth is only true.
The fact that healing is possible, these kinds of healings can and do happen, is evidence that this is the case. This kind of healing wouldn't be possible if there wasn't truth that underlay it, which is why, going back to Yeshua's example or Anita Mazani, the establishment of the day that are resistant to the truth do everything they can possibly do to deny these miracles and say, they're not possible, they didn't happen, because they demonstrate the truth that underlies them, and they demonstrate the falsity of the thought system of these adherents of the ego very clearly, and it's demonstrable. Well, okay, the healing happened. So, this is, if you watch The Chosen, these Sanhedrin, they're going on about, Yeshua, and they're saying he's a false prophet. And all these people, simple people who've been healed go, well, I don't know about that, but I do know that I've been healed. I was blind and now I see, or I was lame and I've now been, so, surely the results speak for themselves. How can he be a false prophet and a charlatan when, he did this? And they couldn't really answer because, demonstrably, it's like, well, the healings happened. So healing just demonstrates the underlying truth of the principles, and it suddenly wouldn't be happen. There would be no healing of these kinds of healings wouldn't be possible if there weren't a deeper truth. It's as simple as that, because medical science, anything rational, doesn't explain these kinds of miracles, but they happen. So there must be something else to explain them. And this is where science fails, because they don't look at that and go, okay, well, maybe our paradigm, maybe our model isn't correct. Maybe we need to expand the model to include these things. They just try and deny them. And as Rupert Sheldrake says, well, that's bad science. You're just discounting evidence. The scientific method is look at the evidence objectively, and then you come up with a theory that explains what you've seen, explains your observation. That's the scientific method. Well, they're not following their own method. So there's no integrity then in these attempts to undermine kind of healing. It's just they're not open-minded enough to go, well, maybe our model isn't correct. Maybe it needs to be expanded. Okay, so let's carry on. Healing might be called a counter dream.
Therefore, healing might be called a counter dream. It cancels out the dream of sickness in the name of truth, but not in truth itself. Just as letting go overlooks all sins that were never committed, healing removes only illusions that have not occurred, just as the real world will arise to take the place of what has never been at all. Healing offers only restitution, for imagined states and false ideas that dreams embroider into pictures of the truth. Well, they're saying that healing might be called a counter dream that cancels out the dream of sickness in the name of truth, but not in truth itself. So letting go overlooks all sins that were never committed. So healing removes all illusions that have not occurred. Mm-hmm.
So it's the process of undoing, the false and what hasn't occurred. But in the dream, it seems to have occurred. But now there's got to be a process of correcting that, of undoing it. That's what healing is. So it's not the absolute truth. don't mistake it for absolute truth, but it's the process in this world of realizing the truth. So let's have a look at the Holy Trinity model, and you'll see this clearly. So healing happens at this level. Doesn't like that. One wants me to log in. Let's go. Where are we? So healing happens between here and here. Well, so this is level 2 in the illusion, your separate self, your body, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in this physical world. And healing is the process of taking your mind out of that box, the red box of a separate self, and raising it up into an awareness of who you really are, the true self. And when that process happens, your perception shifts fundamentally, and we would call that healing. So I was actually maybe update this. This would be called healing as well. Surrender, acceptance, healing. There's many terms for it. So it leads you to the realization of your true self, which prepares you for the coming of pure formless awareness of perfect love, saying in this step between the true self and this, God takes the final step. So that's largely out of your hands. But healing is within your power to facilitate, because you can choose whether you're going to let go or not. And the letting go leads to healing. So healing, letting go, forgiveness, correction, surrender, acceptance, salvation, at-one-ment, enlightenment, Satori, rebirth, awakening, resurrection. It's all the same, just different pointers to the same process of awakening the mind from its belief in separation to the truth of its essential unity. And that's all that healing is. Okay? That clear, Elaine?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 6.
Yeah. Yet I will not think that healing is unworthy of my function here, for the false self becomes more powerful than my true self when I dream the world is real. My body seems to be more solid and more stable than my mind, and love becomes a dream, while fear remains the one reality that can be perceived, justified, and fully understood. Let's
Okay.
just say that the false self becomes more powerful than the true self when we dream the world is real. It seems the body's solid, more stable than the mind, and then love becomes a dream, while fear remains the one reality, justified and fully understood.
And that's the inversion of truth. If you believe in this red box and you've made that your truth, then you will deny the healing and you will deny these signs. You would be like the Sanhedrin were 2,000 years ago with Yeshua. So I mean, imagine this, Christ figure is there. He's done all of this, all of these healings, and yet they deny it. How's that? How do you do that? But they did, because it was so threatening to their thought system that in order to cling to that belief system, they would do anything. They deny, the miracles that were, plainly visible, even to the point of, resurrecting the dead, as he did with Lazarus. They couldn't accept it. It was too challenging for their ego. And then your body seems to be more stable, more solid than the mind. Love is just a dream. Fear remains the one reality that can be perceived, justified, and fully understood. And this is the thought system of the ego. Doesn't want you to see, the possibility of healing and of a transcendent love, because that would undo the ego. And there's many ways it'll justify that, whether it's a fixed religious belief, as with the Sanhedrin, or in Anita Mazani's example, it was, literally the oncologist going, oh, well, actually, you know, the chemotherapy kicked in at an advanced stage, even though I was one of the doctors that said, look, there's nothing more we can do for it. I'll try and find a justification and say it's the chemo that's done this because it's too threatening to my thought system to acknowledge, okay, this is pretty miraculous. This is outside what I understand. It doesn't fit my paradigm of the world and of, you know, how the body and the healing works. So very, you know, rigid and closed, and then you have to find, you know, the other excuses. But you know, it's not it's obvious if you really see it clearly what's going on. It's just another defense against the truth. Okay, happy to go to number 7.
Yeah. Just as letting go shines away all sin and the perception of the real world will take the place of what I made. So healing must replace the fantasies of sickness, which I use to deny the simple truth. When I have perceived that sickness disappears in spite of all the laws that hold it is real, then my questions have been answered, and I can no longer cherish or obey the laws. So it's just saying, just letting go is going to shine away the sin and perception of the real world, or so-called real world. So then healing must replace these fantasies of sickness, which we've denied the simple truth.
When I perceive that sickness disappears in spite of all the laws that hold it as real, then my questions have been answered. Okay, well, clearly it's possible. Clearly there are these other laws that work because the sickness has gone. And so it denies the laws of the ego and it affirms the laws of truth. And you know, that's why the ego is so highly resistant to miraculous healing, because it's a demonstration of another thought system and that it is actually more powerful than the thought system of sickness and death. And once that's happened, I can no longer cherish or obey the laws. Well, you know, I'm forever changed. Those people that Yeshua healed, Anita Mazani, and anyone who's had this kind of miraculous experience is forever changed. They can't believe fully in the ego's laws anymore because they've experienced something else. Freedom, as he says. So healing is freedom.
No, healing is freedom, for it demonstrates that dreams will not prevail against the truth. Healing is shared, and by this attribute it proves that laws that are opposite to the laws of sickness, that seem to make sickness inevitable, are more potent than their sickly opposites. Healing is strength, for through its gentle hand my weakness is overcome, and minds that were walled off within a body and free to join with other minds and be forever strong. It's just saying that, you know, being healed is where our freedom is. It's demonstrating that these dreams can't prevail against the truth once this healing has been shared. So it's healing is strength. So then we're guided by a gentle hand, and weakness is overcome the minds that were walled off within a body and free to join with other minds and forever strong.
Yeah, so it's another name for the at-one-ment, as we saw here in this diagram. You know, part of this process of healing the mind is at-one-ment or enlightenment. You know, healing is just another name for that process. And the mind, it's really the mind that's healing. The body follows the mind. So any body conditions that heal are symptomatic of the healing in the mind, which is what it's really all about. It's why Yeshua, when he healed, he always starts with your sins are forgiven, because he understood it was the mind that needed to heal. The idea of sin was what was causing the sickness. And if you could help someone to see that they weren't sinful, that they were really innocent, then the condition of the sickness could just drop away. And that's what happened. And people also didn't have, in those days, they didn't have this belief in scientific materialism and in a medical system that was supposedly going to work to save them. If you try to do those miracles today, even Yeshua coming back as he was then, it wouldn't work because people wouldn't believe. Most
Yeah,
people
because
go, no, my doctor says I'll have to consult my doctor, and my doctor says that's not possible. Too many false beliefs. It wouldn't work. And it was said, in his own hometown of Nazareth, because he'd come from there, people were like, he didn't do miracles because they didn't believe. They were like, well, you're just Yeshua. We knew you when you were a kid, so like, how can you be the Messiah? And they didn't believe. And so it's like, well, I can't do the miracles then because the belief is lacking. So it's all a function of, belief, willingness to believe. And what caused those extraordinary miracles was that people did believe. And obviously, the more he did them, the more the belief grew. There was like a field of belief that grew around this character, that activated. People would just go, I believe so much. You don't even have to go there. The Roman officer says, no, you don't have to go there. I know that you just say it, and the healing will be done. And Jesus said, yeah, okay, it's been done by your own belief, because it's happening on the quantum level. So it's not physical, it's happening on an energetic level. So when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. It's all because we're all connected in the mind. And so that's why things like remote healing and so on are possible, because it's all mind. All right, so he carries on this theme of healing and how that unites us in number 9, if you want to read that.
Yeah. Healing, letting go, and the glad exchange of the whole world of sorrow for a world where sadness cannot enter are the means by which the remembrance of perfect love urges me to follow it. Its gentle lessons teach how easily I can awaken, how little practice I need to undertake to let its laws replace the ones I made, to hold myself prisoner to death. Its awareness becomes my own as I extend the little help it asks in freeing me from everything that ever caused me pain.
Yeah, what's he saying there?
Well, just about healing again, letting go of the whole world of sorrow and sadness, by which the remembrance of perfect love urges. Oh, well, that doesn't urge us to follow. It's urging us to follow its path. So its gentle lessons teach how easy we can awaken and how little we need to practice to let these laws replace the ones we've been held prisoner for till death.
It's a simple shift.
It's this awareness, being in this awareness, in this, now, in this eternal now, I guess, yeah.
And it only seems to be difficult because of our stubborn belief in the ego. The more stubbornly we believe that, the more difficult it is for us. But actually, it's a really simple thought system. Nothing complicated about it. Just saying you're not a body. You're free of all that. You're a spirit, and the body will follow. If you really believe that, the body will be, what did we say yesterday? A healthy, serviceable instrument that will carry out the mind's instructions, but without emphasis on bodily needs, because you're not a body. So the body is a servant but not the master. Too often people make the body the master. My
Mm.
body's needs are the master. I must service my body. My body needs this. My body needs food. My body needs medicine. My body needs to be beautified. We talked about these industries that are really all about perpetuating body identification. But those industries, so the beauty industry, cosmetics, fashion, all that, they're part of the same system as the medical industry, the sickness industry. It's the same thinking. It's just the flip side of it. So when you see, people, these models wearing makeup and fancy clothes and stuff, actually, that's just the flip side of the thought system of death, of someone, lying in hospital on death's door. Anita Mazani. It's the same, because you believe in the ego in any sense. You believe in death, but we don't make these connections, do we?
Mm.
We get fooled by the world. So, oh, no, that's somehow different from this. And we split them apart, and we don't make the connections and go, well, actually, if I buy in to those illusions of, the body is really important and valuable, then I'm also buying in to sickness and pain and suffering and death. That's the flip side of it. It's the same thing. Just you don't see it. And obviously no advertiser is going to go, well, buy our perfume or buy this jewelry or fashion item or whatever, and here's the result of death. They're not going to do that, are they? They're going to show you attractive images, and it's all, healthy bodies, and the bodies are having a good time, and da 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 da. But they don't show you, that the outcome of that thought system is inevitably sickness and death. But this teaching is telling us, it's helping us make these connections, which is really important, so that we don't believe the ego in any sense. He's asking us to let it all go. What seems to be good about it, because that's just the flip side of all the negative, which, is designed to obscure the negative. So then we keep desiring these things, and we keep desiring a body identity, not realizing that it's going to kill us. You desire anything to do with the body, it's a death wish, clearly, if you see it correctly, because the body's going to die. So then you're saying, well, okay, I accept that this is my identity and I'm going to die. It's just, it's crazy. It's bizarre. It's insane. And yet this is the way the world operates. Now, most people don't see this, do they? You go and you buy yourself, a nice fashion item, or even more so now, people are getting plastic surgery because I want to make my body look. It's like you're believing in death. This is not clever. Don't do it. Just don't go there. Stop. You listen to Michael Sings. It's just like the highly advised. Don't do it. Just don't go there. Don't do it. Stop, because it's not helping you. But you need to have this understanding. So he's giving us these lessons because this helps us understand what the game is and how it really works. If we don't understand, we'll keep doing the same thing and getting the same result and wondering why it doesn't work. You keep getting sucked in by the ego's illusions. Okay, so number 10, let me go on. As I let myself be healed.
And as I let myself be healed, I perceive all those around me who cross my mind, whom I touch, or those who seem to have no contact with me, healed along with me. Perhaps I will not recognize them all, nor realize how great my gift is to everyone when I let myself be healed, but I am never healed alone. And many, many people will receive the gift that I receive when I am healed. Just saying that we aren't healed alone. Once we're healed, then many, many people will receive that gift also.
Which is very comforting. And,
Yeah,
we saw that,
it is.
again, Yeshua, he's our teacher, in his life, he wasn't healed alone, was he? He healed so many people in his time and throughout time. Think of his message, how many people people that's helped to heal and to help and to bless over thousands of years. It's extraordinary.
Mm.
So I'm never healed alone. When I do this, I do it for all of humanity. I become a living example of this truth, which is inspiring for people. Like, Anita Mazani, she needed to come back because she becomes a living example of the power of truth, which people can go, well, we can't really deny that if you open, because you were on death's door and you healed, so it must be possible. So, if you could do it, I can do it too. And that's how we learn. We learn by example. Imagine if the likes of Anita Mazani and Yeshua never came and they never gave us their example. Would it all be theoretical and abstract? It would be like, well, theoretically you can do this, but there's no practical example. No one would believe it, would they? You need the examples. So he's asking us to be the example, to be that person, like he was, like Anita Mazani and many others, to be the healed person in this world who demonstrates the thought system of healing to others and helps them to follow in your footsteps and in Yeshua's footsteps. So then he carries on this track. Those who are healed become the instruments of healing.
Those who are healed become the instruments of healing. Nor does time elapse between the moment they are healed and all the grace of healing they are called on to give. What is opposed to pure formless awareness of perfect love does not exist, and whoever does not accept it becomes a haven where the weary can rest. For here truth is realized, and here all illusions are brought to truth. It's just saying that those who have been healed then become instruments for healing for others.
Yeah.
So once this has occurred, then they are called to give the same healing back.
Hmm. Yeah, and that seems to be the universal call. If you've healed profoundly, I mean, what else are you going to do but share it? Think of Anita Mazani. She comes back. I mean, she can't just keep quiet about that. Oh, well, I've had this, profound near-death experience and I've come back virtually from death and I'm healed in this miraculous way. Well, I can't just keep it to myself. I've got to share this. Not because from an ego perspective, oh, I'm so great, but because this message could help others. And so, it's a responsibility to share it. All right, so number 12, do I not want to offer shelter?
Do I not want to offer shelter to pure formless awareness of perfect love? I only invite myself to be at home. And can I really refuse this invitation? If I ask the inevitable to occur, I will never fail. The other choice is to ask what cannot be to be, and this cannot succeed. Today I ask the holy truth, that the only truth occupy my awareness, so that thoughts of healing will radiate outwards from what is healed, so what must yet be healed, aware that they will both occur as one. But again, it's just questioning us, do we not want to be this willing host of pure formless awareness and invite the true self back home? Yeah. And do we really want to refuse this invitation?
Yeah. Can I really refuse this?
And it's saying it once we've asked, it won't fail. So
yeah.
The other choice
so I
is to
become
ask.
healed myself, and then I become a channel for healing. These thoughts and this energy flows through me. And, that then impacts others. As we've seen with, at a high level, Yeshua demonstrated that. He's healed and the energy comes through him and it goes outward from him and it heals others. And he becomes a channel for this divine healing energy to come into the world. And then people say, well, he's the Christ. Yeah, but he's actually just being normal. He's just connecting to who he really is and allowing that to come through. But in an upside down in the world, that, seems to be, amazing and incredible and miraculous.
Yeah.
But actually, it's just who we really are. Should be normal. If we all awoke to our, who we really are, that, would be no big deal. Yeah, well, of course you can heal. There just wouldn't be sickness. Why do you need to be sick if you know who you are? Okay, number 13. I'll remember that my function.
I will remember that my function is to let my mind be healed every hour so that I may carry healing to the world, exchanging curse for blessing, pain for joy, and separation for the peace of perfect love. Is not a minute of the hour worth the giving to receive a gift like this? Is not a little time a small expense to offer for the gift of everything? Well, it's just ask, just saying, is it a big deal to be healed, to remind ourselves of this truth every hour for a minute?
Yeah. And it shouldn't be, really. You think what he's asking, it's like, well, that's not that difficult, is it? Stop for a minute, pause, reflect on it, and then, you carry on with whatever you're doing. But it's not easy to remember. Some minds get preoccupied with other things.
It's so entrenched. Yeah.
Yeah.
So entrenched.
The reason why he's asking us to do it regularly is it's to break that pattern.
It's
the
the
default
habit.
mode of the ego, you've got to interrupt that pattern. And he's saying, well, if you can do it every hour, then you'll start to undo this thought system a lot quicker. If you let it go for hours, let's say the whole day, let's say you do your practice in the morning and you don't think about the lesson again until the evening, then the ego's got all that time in between to carry on and you're not interrupting the pattern and making the corrections, as and when you need them. So this is why it's a regular practice, and it shouldn't really be a big deal. Okay, well, it's just an idea. You just have to remember an idea, and if something comes up to challenge you, you apply the idea, and you use it to help you let go, and that need only take maybe 30 seconds or minutes. It's a very simple idea, but in practice that requires a high degree of awareness and discipline, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, and then read number 14.
Yet I must be prepared for such a gift. And so I will begin the day with this and give 10 minutes to these thoughts with which I conclude the day at night as well. When I am healed, I am not healed alone. And I want to share my healing with the world so that sickness may be banished from the awareness of perfect love's one extension, who is my only self.
Yeah. So just encapsulating the whole lesson in those couple of sentences. So read the last one, and then we'll go into a meditation on this.
Yeah. I let healing happen through me today, and so I rest in quiet. I am prepared to give as I receive, to hold only what I give, and to receive the message of perfect love, to take the place of the foolish thoughts that I ever imagined. Now we come together to make all that was sick well, and bless where there was attack. Nor will I forget this function as every hour of the day slips by, remembering my purpose with this thought: when I am healed, I am not healed alone, and I bless my companions, for I want to be healed with them as they are healed with me.
Yeah, it's a lovely reminder. I'm not healed alone. This isn't just for me. It's for everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it for the whole. I'm doing it for the whole sonship. And there's your purpose. There's the meaning of your life. It's not just for you, it's for others as well. And anyone who finds any kind of meaningful purpose in life taps into this. You have to be helping others, genuinely helping others. Otherwise, there's no meaning to what you're doing. Simple as that. Because it's just my separate interest then that I'm pursuing. But true meaning, inspired purpose and meaning comes from, well, how does this really help others? And that, inspires us in a way that the separate self's goals never can. They can motivate us to take action, but inspiration is always going to be missing. So that's the difference essentially between inspiration and motivation. Inspiration comes from a spiritual perspective of my healing and extending that to others in whatever way that is. I might be a direct healer as Yeshua was, or I might be indirect. I might be an actor or a singer, or I just in my daily life, you're a masseur, so that's how it works. Then you're there to heal others, and that brings purpose and meaning to what you're doing. Well, then the separate self, which just says, well, what's in it for me? What can I get from this person, from this situation? You become a taker then. Okay, so I've got about 18 minutes. Let's meditate on the showing to close the session.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so just making yourself comfortable. Sitting with your feet shoulder width apart in your favorite meditation posture. Keep your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils, and you clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Draw the energy up the spine into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. So it's a maximal inhale breath. You smile. Sickness that might be related to your own body or someone else's body, sickness in general in the world. And remind yourself of the simple truth of today's lesson. When I'm healed, I am not healed alone. And so you breathe in and you embrace the healing. You allow this powerful healing energy to come in. Breathe it into every pore, every cell of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. So when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And I want to share my healing with the world so that sickness may be banished from the awareness of perfect love's one extension. I want to share my healing with everyone so that sickness is done away with. It is not there anymore. May be banished from the awareness of perfect love's one extension, who is my only self. Exhale on the truth of that. Have a sense as you exhale that you're letting go of your own delusions, your own sickness, which starts as disease in the mind. So blow out any negative thoughts and emotions that might be fear, anxiety, some frustration, anger, attack thoughts. jealousy, depression, sadness, guilt, and so on. Or just blow it all out. Imagine it's leaving you like a dark cloud or black smoke out of your mouth, out of your, leaving your body, leaving your mind, leaving your energy system, just going into the nothingness that it really is. And have a sense also of extending the light of your true awareness with your breath. So extending it out to others, to everyone you know. So it's family, friends, acquaintances. There's someone that you know that needs healing. Have a sense of just extending this awareness to them. The awareness that only the truth is true, only love is real, and nothing really needs to be healed because they are healed already. You rest in this healed state for a few minutes. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to think about. Just breathe in and out through your nose. Observe the breath. And sink inwards. Let the breath take you deeper and deeper with each breath into this healed place in your mind. Place of awareness. Where you are healed and whole and complete. You are one. There is no separate self. There is no belief in separation anymore. You are one with your source. You are one with everyone. Everyone is you. You are everyone in the state. There's only one awareness, one mind, one awareness. In the state, healing is accomplished. You are healed, as is everyone else. So just rest in this state. There's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about. For the next couple of minutes, just breathe in and out through your nose. You observe the breath to keep your mind nice and clear, calm, empty, and spaciously aware of this healed and healing presence we call love. For the next 2 minutes of deep that. So just gently coming back from this deep state, bring your mind back into the body. On the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You pause at the top of the inhale, smile, scan your mind, just noticing any unhealed thoughts, so any negative thoughts, fear, anger, irritation, frustration, sadness, and so on. Just breathe into all that again once more. Remind yourself that when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. I want to share my healing with everyone so that sickness may be banished from the awareness of perfect love's one extension, who is my only self. I bless my companions, for I want to be healed with them as they are healed with me. Exhale in the truth of that. Have a sense of letting go of your own illusions, and it's simultaneously extending this light, the light of your true awareness, to anyone who needs it, anyone who comes to mind who's sick in body or mind. Have a sense of the extending of this light of your true awareness, which is love, to them. Feel that. On the count of two, notice how the air flows out, chest and the stomach suck back in, the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground, noticing that, noticing what you're feeling and touching. Your hands, maybe there's a subtle flow of air on your skin. Breathe that air in again. Just noticing all these things with a very still, calm, non-judgmental awareness. This is how you keep connected to the source of healing. Judgment and sickness go together, as non-judgment or forgiveness and healing go together. So you're just going to stay in this awareness, healed and healing awareness for the rest of the day. To help you do that, just practice the lesson. You should recommend every hour. Practicing it, you just remind yourself of the key idea. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Or if you have a few minutes, you can listen to one of the breath breaks that I sent you. Just a few minutes to top you up with this healing presence and help you stay connected to it and in flow with it. So it is said and so it is done. Now on the count of three, open your eyes. So just take a moment, look around, observing in this very calm, clear, non-judgmental way whatever's going on. Without judgment, notice how this healed presence is still very much in your mind. It's there with you always. It's guiding you. It goes with you wherever you go and extends to all of your companions. Say one more time. When I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. And I bless all my companions. If there's anyone in the room with you, that extend the blessing to them. I bless all my companions and anyone who comes to mind, for I want to be healed with them as they are healed with me. Amen. So it is. So carry on in this healed and healing presence for the rest of the day. Practice today's lesson again, using the shorter breath break or the longer meditation recording. Recommend you do that again this evening to top you up. And yeah, wishing you a very healed and healing rest of your day, Elaine. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the session today. Short and sweet, but I'm quite liking this actually. I think I quite like the short sessions in a way. They're kind of punchy. Well, it's like, okay, to get it done, you move through it. We did 15 paragraphs in about half an hour, and
I prefer it too.
oh, so
Yeah.
now we've done the translations now, so it's like, okay, well, it's all that's all done. We don't have to go and edit and
yes, exactly.
So like, and just be quick. All right, so good session. I'm going to run off in about 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
So
right.
happy to do a session tomorrow. I know you missed out on what the session, 2 sessions last week, so I don't mind if you want to do a session tomorrow, but I have to be in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, well, that's very
Tomorrow
kind
afternoon,
because just things happen, so it's nobody's,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I mean,
responsibility.
that's what
Well,
happened. But so I don't mind
okay, well,
doing
that's
that
very
one
kind of you.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can
Right. So if
do one tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
yeah, I think that should be okay. Yes,
Yeah, what
I'll
time?
certainly message you to confirm because sometimes
Yeah,
things do come up because he's got
yeah.
his young family over. But yeah, no, that's
So
very kind.
shall I schedule for 1 o'clock then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Or
Thanks,
even
Elaine.
some maybe even a little bit earlier because then at least then I can meet them at the pool.
Hmm.
You know, if it was just a
Okay.
couple of hours or something. I mean, obviously there may be others join, of course, and then it may go on
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So maybe
12:30.
yeah, that might be better. So then I can have time to go and meet them at the yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be better
Okay.
because I've got no work tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
12:30. See you then.
12:30.
All
See you
right.
then. Thanks, Jono.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye for now. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Thank you to Elaine for joining and making this a dialogue and not a monologue. If you enjoyed our dialogue, then hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified whenever we go live, which is 3, 4, 5 times a week. YouTube will notify you. You can also go to lifepool.com and sign up to receive a daily Telegram message, which includes the daily quote I shared, along with the blog post that you saw in the email, which you get it via Telegram instead, as well as a daily lesson adapted from A Course in Miracles and a short little meditation or breath break to help you practice the lesson. All available free of charge every day at lifeboat.com. Check it out and subscribe, hit the subscribe button. And yeah, if you join our Telegram group, I also let you know when we're doing the live calls, which you're welcome to join via Zoom. So you can actually interact in these sessions for 3 weeks to give it a go, see if it works for you. So I hope to see you on the inside soon. Thanks for watching or listening, and wishing you much love, peace, and joy. Namaste, which means the healed and healing self in me, the Christ energy in me, acknowledges and honors that same healed, healing Christ presence in you.